Hello, Abdullahi and Clinton. How are you doing today and where are you dialing from? Clinton?
I'll go fast. Yeah, I'm dialing from Nairobi, Kenya right now, and I also think also Mr. Colin Clinton is also dialing from Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
Also, that's great. That's great. Thank you for the introduction. And before we start the session, we actually have a very interesting video that Abdullahi sent me. So let me present the video to our audience and then we will proceed with our conversation.
All right, thank you.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much for this wonderful video. So now we can proceed with our conversation. But first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your expertise. Abdullahi, you can go first.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So my name is Abdullahi Botan Mahmoud. I've been working in the tech space for right now. Professionally, I can say 7 years, and professionally, I can say like around 3 years. So that is a total of 10 years. So I'm an ex-Microsoft tech lead. I'm an ex-Amazon engineer. Right now, I'm a technology mentor at GLIAC, and also I'm part of the Forbes Black community. So for me, I've helped African startups raise close to 15 million US dollars for the past couple of 2 3 years. So partly I've been helping them have a product market fit, also helping them structure their corporate financing and also adopt new emerging technologies. So mostly on my end, I'm self-taught developer. I don't have a degree in computer science and whatnot. I'm a self-taught. I have a degree in medical biotechnology. So yeah, what made me go into AI is the fact that when I was young, I could, like, how do I put it, prophesize that a lot of things in this world will be determined on technology. Thank God I jumped on that wagon, and yeah, I'm here right now. Yeah, with you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And Clinton?
Yeah, that's nice, Abdullahi. So my name is Clinton, based in Nairobi. Currently, I'm a machine learning engineer at Amini.ai. So Amini.ai is an environmental data infrastructure company, and what we're trying to do is that we are trying to feel like the Africa's data gap, mostly for environmental data. So by environmental data, I mean like any data related to soil conditions, vegetation, water, and just anything that characterizes the natural conditions and characteristics of Earth. So apart from that, I lead the TinyML Kenya community, which is a community of engineers working on embedded AI technologies. Yeah, that's just a brief intro about me.
Thank you. Thank you. That sounds like a lot. And I'm really, really glad to have you on our conversation right now, which is the hot seat session. I'd like to remind you that the purpose of this session is to help entrepreneurs and companies all over the world, in our case, Africa, to address their blind spots and gain competitive edge with the help of our wonderful experts. So now it's time to dive into our topic of future trends of African tech and AI. And Abdullahi, I'd like to ask you first, just in general, when it comes to AI and machine learning, what do you see as the most probably significant opportunities that are coming, for Africa when it comes to AI and tech?
Thank you very much. In Africa, to be honest, we really have a lot of problems that I believe this technology can solve. So mostly, I believe that right now in Africa, we have a lot of, how do I put it, legal issues when it comes to satisfaction of, how do I put it, a prosecutor versus the prosecuted. So I feel like that can come in. Secondly, when it comes to AI, Africa, we can be helped. AI can help Africa when it comes to, like, adaptation of better technologies. When it comes to, like, making better decisions, like in Africa, the main challenge that, as when I used to work at Microsoft for startup, the main challenge that we saw was the fact that we don't have data-driven decision making. So a lot of our decision making comes from, basically, like, unfortunately, come from the West side. So it's not custom to our African culture, and to our African, tradition, and to our African, society. So one of the main challenges that I see that we are having right now is we don't make data driven decision making. So I feel like when it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to the political side, also when it comes to the energy consumption side, ESG, when also when it comes to the fact that, like, artificial intelligence can help us. Also, mostly the transportation side. There's so many sectors in Africa that can benefit from data driven decision, precise data driven decision. So that's why I feel like we need AI right now in Kenya. It has been the, how do I put it, number one search topic in Kenya in 2023. So a lot of people are, like, questioning themselves, what is this technology? What is this technology going to help us in, and whatnot? So if me and Clinton, guys who have been in this sector for, like, the past couple of 5 to 6 years, can help us, as people in Africa, be empowered also through, through, giving us knowledge on how, guys can adopt this technology faster for businesses. It can help businesses also, like, reduce their expenditures and maximize their profits. Yeah.
Thank you. That sounds promising. And Clinton, I have a similar question to you, but it's more about what do you consider the key driving factors of innovation and AI adoption in Africa? What helps you?
Yeah, so the key drivers are look at it in this perspective, looking at how maybe AI and generally technology has been developing in Europe, has been accelerating like technology development in other parts of the world. Like, for example, if you look at a country like the US, it has been mainly research and the big techs, the companies that are there that are working on these technologies deeply, deeply, deeply. If you go to Europe, usually mostly about regulations, and when it comes to Africa, mostly usually about like our ecosystem of developers, the research, the local research institution, be it like the university or just the grassroots like innovation hubs. those are the ones that I usually see like somehow are driving like technology and specifically AI in Africa. Mostly usually like about like the developers themselves, developers who are seeing like the challenges that they're facing in a day-to-day life, the challenges that are the most pressing and their society is facing, and they want to build like solutions for them. So mostly usually like developers, and the developer communities.
Thank you, thank you. Well, as promising as it sounds, I know it's not all bed and roses when it probably comes to AI and tech adoption in Africa. So I'd like to ask both of you a question that probably a lot of people ask themselves. What are the most significant challenges that, entrepreneurs or companies encounter when they do try to adopt AI, just become more techy?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe if I
Clinton, yeah, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. Maybe if I can go first, I'll look at it this way, like what really accelerated like the development of AI across the entire world. Number one was like access to data. The second one was infrastructure, and the other one was talent and
Yep.
research for people who are building these algorithms. So if you look, for example, at Africa, we are still a little bit far much ahead in terms of access to quality data. The data that we have today is limited, number one, in terms of quantity. It has like a lot of redundancy issues, and also the quality in terms of the granularity of it to be used in some use cases is still like very
Mhm.
wanting. So, for example, if you want to go to a sector like healthcare, we still have like a lot of challenges regarding like regulations. What data can you collect from hospitals and things of the sort? When it comes to things like infrastructure, I can say we are still a little bit far, even though we're making progress in things such as connectivity and the rest. If you look, for example, specifically at AI needs like a huge amount of compute to generate like insights from the massive amounts of data that's available out there. So if you come back to Africa, you'll find that this infrastructure is still like limited. Not very many companies, for example, the way you have said like in the US is the big tech and the research institutions that are driving the technology there. So for them, you see, they most of the time they usually have money to invest in this infrastructure. But when it comes to Africa, mostly usually some sort of solo developers who can't, to some extent, afford maybe buying like these expensive GPUs to train like their models. And the third one, of course, is talent, even though like we are making like some good strides here. Like if you look at, even though we are still making some strides, it's something that's very wanting. If you go to maybe our universities, the curriculum that are currently used are still like very old curriculums that are not like reflecting like what has been happening in the past, maybe say 5 years, because like technology is something that surely changes sometimes even after every 6 months, there's usually something new. And if you look at our current institutions, somehow we have failed to keep up with the pace of the change and advancement in technology and reflecting that into our current like curriculum.
Thank you. And Abdullahi, do you have anything to add
Yeah,
on your
I do
side?
agree with I do agree with Clinton because he mentioned the most important things. Number one is the infrastructure, talent, and also when it comes to adequate, how do I put it? Infrastructure depends on number one the the R&D facilities. In right now, I'm grateful for the fact that like Amazon and also Microsoft have set up development centers in Kenya. So that can also help, accelerate the number of data scientists, the number of software engineers who are gonna be like, focused on artificial intelligence, and so that they can help, when it comes to like data rendering, and also when it comes to like data integrations, and also sourcing the data, making sure the fact that like the algorithms that you guys input, also the results that you guys bring, the result that also each company or individuals can obtain from using the talent. So on my end, I have a couple of friends that have basically done a lot of stuff when it comes to AI. A friend of mine has a startup called CareerGo. Another friend of mine has a startup called Mteja. Another friend of mine, I don't know the startup's name. I think what is was Paticap. So most of them they're using artificial intelligence when it comes to like decision making for their clients. So it's a B2C B2C to B business model. So they've really like put SQL methodologies. I was one of the people who used to help in Kenya. Basically, right now, when it comes to like, I believe one of the first artificial AI tools that has propagated a lot of interest is ChatGPT. So being part of Microsoft, being an ex Microsoft tech lead, when we came to Kenya, basically what we were doing is we basically making it is we were making local research driven results. So basically, like as for example, Clifton, if you search something in Kiswahili on ChatGPT, like we're working on that. So unfortunately, because of the lack of funding, as one of the challenges that we experience as a Microsoft tech lead, because of lack of funding, we 200 software engineers from Kenya were underpaid so that they can make sure that so that they so they're putting data infrastructure, they're setting up the data infrastructure for ChatGPT for East Africa. Unfortunately, because of the funding part, they're not able to show their highest potential. Also the talent part, whereby right now in Kenya I believe there are around 70,000 developers, and out of them senior developers they're like around 10, around 1,500 to 5,000 maximum. And out of those senior developers, the guys who usually qualify for working in big companies who can make sure they scrap the data, make sure they provide relevant results, are very low. So also when it comes to the talent part, that's a big challenge that we're having in Africa. That's why the companies like Project Powerland, the companies like for example ALX, they're putting a lot of effort. They've partnered with Mastercard so that they can elevate the number of people who join in, the skill sets, the talent skill sets. The gap closes as soon as possible. So that's one of the challenges that we're having, and I believe Mr. Clinton explained it yeah, very well.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. And I feel like you've already started elaborating on, on different ways of how you've been trying to solve this. But now, yes, let's take these challenges that you've mentioned and turn them into, strengths that Africa potentially has when it comes to AI adoption. So I would like to ask you to tell me once again, what are some, great strategies or initiatives that you can advise companies to try to use or to implement to make the AI adoption more successful and to make it actually beneficial across various regions of the continent because I know the continent is vast.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yep.
to go for
We have a population of
Abdullahi.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'll go faster. So we have a population of 1 billion people, I believe, according to statistics, will be basically skill set wise per population will be the highest by 2030. So Africa will be number one when it comes to human resource skill sets. So one of the things that we need to do is, I believe, the biggest challenge that us guys are facing is government adaptation, man. So as part of I've been supporting startups for 2 years, 3 years, helping them raise funding and whatnot. The biggest challenge that these startups are facing when it comes to like the startups in the blockchain AI sector, these are new emerging technologies. The biggest challenge that we're facing is collaboration from the government. So a lot of the big, as Clinton mentioned, regulation is a very, very big part when it comes to like companies, using AI tools, to make themselves become better, have a lower the customer acquisition cost, have a higher rate of customer satisfaction. So number one thing I believe is regulations, man. Our governments are not as open-minded as other governments in the Middle East, in Europe, in the United States, as Clinton has mentioned. They're not as open-minded as our government. Our government are mostly focused on agriculture, as I can put it, not on technology adaptation. So since the backbone of Africa's economy is agriculture, they focused, and the advantage is, yes, they focus on agriculture, but now if they input AI into agricultural decision making, also when it comes to, also we can put AI when it comes to like predicting when when these yields can be harvested, also predicting like which are the best combination of ingredients when it comes to like fertilizers to make this harvest become way more yield wise, become more, how do I put it, like nutritious. So our government is mostly focused on agriculture, and unfortunately there's some things that I'm not supposed to say over here because of political terms. But our governments, I wish Africa had an independent state of thinking when it comes to technology adaptation. AI and the blockchain, these are new technologies that the world is currently like experiencing, and if we can jump on the wagon as fast as possible, it can help us out when it comes to like moving forward. Also, reducing the level of poverty we have, reducing the level of unemployment we have. A lot of economic crisis that Africa is facing can be helped out, but the most important thing is regulations from the government needs to become need to ease up on companies and startups, adopting AI. Yeah.
Absolutely agree with this. Absolutely. From what I've been observing, when it comes to our mentor community who've been discussing different, problems and what is possible to solve, what is not, this is one of the most pressing
Hmm.
issues. So I agree. Clinton, do you have anything to add when it comes to strategies? Let's talk about something positive that companies can
Yep.
do.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'll still love to emphasize on Abdullahi point on collaboration. I think like collaboration will be very key in terms of when developing like strategies to keep up with the other developing nations. And collaboration means like we should look at ways in which like governments, the private sector, and also in educational institutions can like collaborate. And it can be through like policies. For example, the government advocating for policies that encourage innovations. For example, if you look at our current state currently in Kenya, like there have been very many taxes that have been introduced in the country within the last few months. Like how can we encourage like things such as maybe tax incentives for the tech startups, and maybe things such as like research grants. How can the government, research institutions, and the private sector come together to fill some gaps, such as the data quality issue? How can they come together to solve some challenges, such as the infrastructural challenge that we currently have, be it like the compute resources, or even just like normal other resources that are required to drive this technology? So I think like collaboration and collaboration and positive regulations is going to be very key to ensure that we join the rest of the developing world in terms of accessing what this technology has to offer, and help us like solve some of the challenges that we're currently facing.
For sure.
Thank you so much. But before we wrap up, I would like to ask you one last question that I didn't originally plan. What are some words, personally from you, as you have so much experience in tech in Africa? Are there anything you'd like to tell to companies for them, to encourage them to actually pay more attention to tech and AI adoption, as it's actually a future for them, for their company, and for their continent, for their, company, country specifically? Is there anything you can say in your experience?
Yeah, sure.
Because I
So
feel like I'm sorry, because I feel like a lot of companies, as also Abdullahi mentioned, they still underestimate the importance of actually, using this technology to help not just their company, but the, a continent as a whole. So I want you to say something to them.
okay, there is
Yeah.
usually this quote that usually says like the only constant in technology is change.
It's change.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so like these people need to know like the world will always be changing, and technology will always be changing. It's a matter of adapting, and it's a matter of just trying to keep up. You might not be very at par with it, but just try to keep up, or else like you are going to be left behind.
For
So
sure.
I think like we should look at ways in which you try to adapt to this technology, because like the coming wave of technology and the current wave that we are currently in is going like to be very crucial in terms of deciding like where we are when it comes to the entire world economy. So I think we should promote like the strategies that we have discussed about today:
Mhm.
collaboration, regulations, and the partnerships, to make sure that we are always at par with the rest of the world.
Agree 100%. And Abdullahi?
Yeah, I do agree with my brother Clinton for sure. Because mostly when it comes to the adaptation in Africa, unfortunately, it's not like the Western world. In Africa, when it comes to adaptation, it starts with government first, then private entities. And like the Western world, or the more developed countries start from the private to the government. So once the government gets a lot of pressure from the private sector, they usually make some amendments. They usually create some policies to make sure some adaptations are very smooth. So when it comes to like advising companies, the most important thing, as Mr. Clinton said, is either you go with change or you get displaced. So artificial intelligence right now, even me as a developer, even Clinton as a developer, like it's something scary, to be honest. I won't beat around the bush. Genuinely scary when it comes to as an entrepreneur, it's something, yes, when it comes to adaptation, yes, when it comes to delegation, your tax force is reduced by a significant number, your results become better. But when it comes to the sector of employment, artificial intelligence is something that is scary, because a lot of people feel like, I'll be replaced by this new technology, but a lot of guys don't understand that AI will lead to robotics. Maybe robotics will replace, but a lot of people usually think that AI will replace them. They have a misconception, because AI just makes work simpler, and if you can't adopt with it, you'll be replaced. Even that's how the how evolution works. So I'd advise companies, the first thing that you guys need to do is you guys need to focus on your processes. So figure out when it comes to, for example, like if you guys have like the different sectors in a company, there's the tech sector, there's the finance sector, there's the production sector that includes technology, and now there's the sales tech sector, and finally there's the corporate sector. So artificial intelligence can help you make sure that when it comes to like efficiency wise management of all the sectors of your company, it becomes smoother and easier when it comes to delegation. So I'd advise African companies and also, African startups, mostly African startups, because, when it comes to like adaptation for bigger African companies, it's easier for them because they have the big capacity, capital capacity, to employ guys like me and Clinton, to come on board. But for African startups, I suggest them to make sure the fact that when it comes to their business plan, and right now, thank God, a lot of AI, tools are free. So when it comes to like, making sure they cut, because AI, the most important thing that AI does is cut time by a very significant number. Because you see, let's say for example, like, let's say we're in like a pre-AI era, whereby when it comes to decision making, we'll have to me and Clinton have to like go through a lot of codes, use a lot of paperwork and whatnot. What AI does is AI just makes sure the fact that like it enhances this process, so that when it comes to like getting faster results, like the time slot is cut short. So AI just makes time cut short so that productivity becomes better. So a lot of companies that suggest them, when it comes to like, looking at how their company infrastructure, how the operations, if they can use one or two AI tools to make the operation smoother, it will make the decision making better, and also cut expenditure, and also make their revenue and profit better. Yeah, that's one of the advices that I'll give, companies in Africa. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I guess that's a great wrap up. These are great closing words. Thank you so much for taking your time today to join my session and provide so many insights on the state and the landscape of tech and AI right now in Africa. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to see you thriving in our community. If our audience enjoyed this conversation, I highly encourage you to check the caption and see how you can work with these lovely humans to help
Thank you.
you adopt AI in your own company. Thank you so much and have a
Uh,
great rest of the
Yeah,
day.
one more thing, by the way, I'd love you to extend the invitation to Mr. Clinton on next on Friday, kindly on Saturday. Yeah,
Ah,
Okay.
for the festival.
yeah, for the festival, please. Yeah,
Yes, that would be great. Send us pictures.
yeah, it will be great. Also, when it comes to like getting more mentors, in Africa, we can help you out on that. So yeah, let's push for
Let's do
for better
this.
gear, yeah, for more lovely humans. Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a great day and bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye. Have a good day.